You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Geriatric Mamas. We're super excited. We have a guest today who's very special to us. It's our longtime bestie, Tiffany Baynard. I keep saying Tiffany Allen, and Adam corrects me. He's like, "You mean Baynard?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
My real name now.
I don't know who that is anymore. So Tiffany is here today. We're super excited about this episode. Well, I mean, I'm excited. They lived through it. I just kind of vicariously heard their stories. And so to me, it's like entertaining because it just seems so ridiculous what they went through. To them, I'm sure they probably feel differently about it. But nonetheless, we're going to really get into it. But before we do that, want to take a little bit of time just to kind of introduce Tiffany and let all of you viewers. It's probably just 4. Hi, Mom. All you viewers who might not know Tiffany. Hey, Amanda. 4. Kate, Amanda, my mom.
Yeah.
But the people who might not know her, just kind of give you a little background. So actually, Tiffany, Sonia, and I, and then as well as Tiffany's sister and my cousin Kate, I mean, we've all been in each other's lives for like 20 plus years. Tiffany and I... Did we meet at Longhorn, Tiff? Is that where we originally met?
Yes.
Yeah. So we used to work together at Longhorn. Funny stories. We used to like not really like each other. I think it was because we were very similar. And then we showed up to a Halloween. She had a Halloween party one year. And I showed up and I was wearing the same Halloween costume as her. We were both cowgirls. It was so random. And we're like, okay. This is probably a thing. So, and been like,
maybe we'll
really,
be friends now.
Yeah, we've been like really close friends ever since. Tiffany is you're in Charlotte, right?
Yes.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Her and her husband, actually, so I love to take credit for this. They met, I set her and her husband up with one of Adam's fraternity brothers. He was a groomsman. And I made sure that they were walking down the aisle together because I was like, oh my God, I feel like they'd actually be like the cutest couple because like she's basically Cameron in like female form. Like this would just be like amazing.
I witnessed this lineup be schemed out by Jessica and Adam. So Jessica and Adam and I went out to dinner like 2 nights before Jessica and Adam's wedding. And they were like, okay, Sonia, we need to hook Tiffany up with one of Adam's close friends. And so they went down the list of all of Adam's groomsmen, and it was very clear which person they needed to choose, and it was Cameron.
It was so obvious right there.
It was such a great scheme, clearly.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked way better. Like, I'd love to take credit for all of it, but like I can't. But like it just went way better than I thought. So now it's like how many years? 5 years later, they've they're still together. They're married. Have a beautiful boy, and they own a company, Hestia. Am I saying that correctly?
Hestia Designs. Yeah.
Hestia Designs. So Tiffany, do you want to kind of like talk about what that is? Because I don't want to like say something that's incorrect.
That's okay. So yeah, I've been in real estate building houses for quite a while, but we're living in Texas and relocated to Charlotte and open this company up to build basically high-end custom spec houses. So we don't build for clients. We just build what we want and then we sell them at the end. So it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work too. So, but we really enjoy it. We actually get to do some work together and it's been very successful so far. So.
Yeah. And your houses are absolutely beautiful. I've had the privilege to be working on their social media. And so I've been like getting like all the photos and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I need you to build me a house one day.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of tough leaving these beautiful houses and going home to my house that I don't love as much. So.
Well, I imagine because you're like designing
them all.
Yeah, you're designing them based on what you like and your own personal style and preferences. And then it's just like, oh shit, this actually isn't mine.
I can't wait until you guys are actually designing your own new house. That's going to be really fun. I know, soon, hopefully. Yeah.
It's going to be so awesome. So where can people go to like find your homes? Like your website? Is that the best place?
Yeah. HestiaDesigns.com. It's HESTIA designs with an S.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd give you a little plug there. Okay, so all right, so now to kind of address the, I guess we'll kind of say like elephant in the room, because this is a doozy, guys. So why don't we start with, so Tiffany is also a geriatric mama. That's why she's here.
I am. Here I am.
So how old were you when you started trying for Bradley? I can't remember.
I was 38.
Okay. So you were just like Sonia and I. Yeah, because we started trying at 38 and then because you had him at 39, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because it was in June. So, and you, like, I felt so bad because we were pregnant, like, pretty similar. Like, you were pregnant, like, a few months before I became pregnant. And, like, you were going through it. Like, I feel like any and every complication you could think of as far as, like, I mean, symptom, you had it. And then you even, like, had symptoms that I had never even heard of that I didn't even know were a thing.
Yeah.
So do you kind of want to, not to make you like relive that, but you kind of want to like go through some of the things that happened to you?
Yeah. So I am a super sensitive person in general. So I pretty much feel everything. So I kind of had like early on symptoms that I wasn't sure if it was just I don't know, like maybe the medications they were giving me, because I ended up having to go through like the whole Clomid route and trigger shot and all of that stuff. And so this time I was like, this feels different. I'm like feeling super nauseous. I was having like cramping and everything, but I just thought maybe my hormones were going crazy from the medications. And so, but I didn't think it worked because we had been trying for like, I don't know, 7 or 8 months. And like, I was just like, the first try with this is probably not going to work. So I just kind of shrugged it off like it was nothing. And then Cameron and I were out to like on a date night, and I had, I think like 2 glasses of wine and like vomited violently when I got home. And I was just like, okay, I can handle my liquor a little bit better than this. Like, this is very weird. And so I was like, maybe it's just the medication and everything. And then we went to his sister's baby shower that weekend, and I felt fine most of the weekend. So I really felt like I'm not pregnant. And so I remember very clearly Sunday night we were talking, and I'm like, I just don't want to waste my time doing a bunch of rounds of Clomid, especially after like some of my friends just this experience that, you know, didn't work. And so I was like, I just don't want to waste a bunch of my time and money on like this stupid process. Like, let's just talk about doing maybe IVF. And so Cameron's like, okay, well, let's just, you know, think about it over this week and whatnot. And then Monday morning I had positive pregnancy tests. So I was like, obviously it was like the faintest pink line ever. So I was like,
it's there. It's there.
I know,
exactly.
but I sent it to like all of my friends that had been pregnant in the past. And I was just like, you can barely see it. Like, could this be like a false negative? And they're like, no, unlikely. Just keep testing and it should get darker. And so I went through like 150 pregnancy tests over the next like 3 days, like just making sure that line was still there. And so, and it was. And from there on, my pregnancy was pretty rough. Like I had, as Jess mentioned, like all of the symptoms. So super nauseous. Fortunately, I didn't vomit a lot, but just nauseous all the time. Felt like I could never let myself get hungry because it would make me even more nauseous. I had headaches, body aches. I ended up getting placenta previa, which
that's what it was. We were trying to figure out what it was called.
Yeah. Okay. So I found that out which is basically like your placenta is covering the cervix. So eventually they want that to move, which in most cases it does. As it expands, it will like move out of the way. But if not, then they're like, you have to have a C-section, which I was fine with if that was the case, but it was still kind of scary because there's some other stuff that go along with it. And then as that went on, as I mentioned, I work in construction. So our job sites are not AC. I'm running around all the time. I'm up and down stairs. I'm carrying tile. I stopped carrying super heavy stuff, but I'm constantly like all over the place. And so not a super fun job when you're pregnant. So, and then as I got further along in my pregnancy, it got hotter and hotter. So that was really fun, in the humidity. And so my legs and like cankles just swell. And so super like OSHA violation, but I could not get shoes on my feet. Like I had to wear these like oversized flip-flops and just be like super careful where I was walking because I couldn't wear shoes, but I also had to walk my job sites to make sure everything was okay. So I would just make sure everyone was like clear from me that was doing like actual work and stuff. And I was very cautious, but yeah, in hindsight, I should have just worn men's steel-toed boots. Something I could get on my feet. But anyway,
so happy.
I made it work.
I think you get a pass for that.
I hope. Yeah, I don't know if OSHA would say the same, but yeah, you know. But so I then started to. Actually, no. I got to the point where they test you for diabetes, and of course, like that's not fun the first round, but then the second round's like a 3-hour test. And so that was super fun. And then it came back that I did have gestational diabetes. So I had to completely change my diet, which was scary because I'm like, not only am I worrying about myself, I'm worrying about my baby. So I have to like change my diet completely. And normally like during the day, I'm like on a job site, I'm running to grab Chick-fil-A or something random. And so I couldn't do that anymore. So I had to pre-plan all of my meals when I was out and about. And so just very inconvenient and very scary too. So
I know I felt bad for you because I remember like you're like
it was horrible
with everything that was already going on. I feel like the one thing that was actually bringing you joy was like the food and like things that you were eating.
Exactly.
And you were like, oh my God, I have Chick-fil-A for the 100th time this week. And like you would get like those strawberry milkshakes and you'd be like, oh, I'm drinking another strawberry milkshake.
Obsessed with strawberries for a while. That was my thing.
And then all of a sudden it's like that was taken away from you too. And you're like, what the fuck? Just take this child out of me now. Like I'm just, I can't.
Yeah. Like I'm like, can it get any worse? Well, yeah, the answer is yes.
It can.
And then I got carpal tunnel. Like a lot of pregnant
women get carpal tunnel. I didn't even know was a symptom, by the way. I ended up getting it later, but like you had it like
super early
the entire time.
Yeah. Which is
Why
also
is that a thing in pregnancy? I don't understand.
It's
inflammation.
Yeah.
I think inflammation causes. I'm not really sure. That's what I think, but also not fun to have in my line of work. And so moving on from there, I just like got through most of my pregnancy. I'm getting towards the end, and then like my blood pressure started going up when I went in for my appointments. It was getting a little bit high, not too bad, but enough that they were watching me and making me come in a little bit more often than they normally would. And one of the days I came in, my doctor was like, we're going to hook you up on this machine. We just want to see like how, everything is working, and it can tell if you're like contracting or anything like that. And mind you, I was in like pain all the time. I had a lot of like the Braxton Hicks, whatever. So I was like worried the whole time. I'm like, am I going to know when I go into labor what's real and what's not, And so, because when I was out in the heat and the humidity, like I would get them. So I didn't know, I was worried that like I'm going to have my baby on a job site because I don't know I'm like, contracting. Yeah. So I'm sitting in the chair and he comes in and he's just like, are you in any pain? And I'm like, I mean, not more than the usual. Why? And he's like, well, because you're in labor. And I'm like, oh, cool.